Welcome, one and all, and thank you for being here. I hope you enjoy this next Time to Thrive Live episode. And if you want to stay tuned for more, which I would highly recommend, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the little video, and leave me a comment below. Connection is the cure.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm in California dreaming about who we used to be. Colette!
Oh,
hey Colette!
Hi Amy!
Hey!
How are you?
I am absolutely fabulous. How are you today?
I am great. I was just thinking I probably haven't actually talked to you. I know we're not in person, but face to face on a video call in a really long time, like years.
I actually don't know if we ever have had a video call. Like, I'm pretty sure I flew over to Germany to meet you before we'd even had a phone conversation.
I know. But then people didn't really use video calls as much until coronavirus, and now it's like always on Zoom.
Actually so true, but I'm pretty sure like we maybe only like had chatted. Like, you could have actually been, a complete and utter catfish, and I just flew over to Germany, me willy-nilly. Colette, could we be best friends? But anyway, do you want to introduce yourself for everyone that doesn't know you here? We had the best time of our lives. Let me out there living our best lives in Germany and Brighton and all around the world.
I know, I need to get away. Like, I've been dreaming about like traveling again. But yeah, my name's Colette, more commonly known as Cosmic Colette actually on Instagram. I think I'm gonna be Cosmic Colette forever. And I am from Northern Ireland as well. So me and Amy actually went to the same uni, but we didn't cross paths. And yeah, then we were friends for it's like literally 3 years ago now. I think it's about 3 years ago. So you might have seen us in things together before. I think quite a lot of our following follows each other.
Yeah,
so a lot
I think so as well. Just because it was like it started off very similar content, and then you've branched into your job in that area as well. So I think like a lot of our followers naturally have overlapped in all about like self-love and positivity and this kind of thing. And today we're just going to chat about really the potentially traumatic, but we're going to, throw an uplifting spin on breaking back after a break-up from two girls who have just had experience on this juicy topic, but that this is only our experience, and so we can only really share tips from like maybe what's helped us, but guess important to keep in mind that what works for us could be totally different for anyone else. This is just our personal experience.
Yeah, definitely that's a good disclaimer to add.
A good way to approach the subject, that you can sort of look at other people's advice to sort of maybe steer you, but that it's really actually important to just tune into you first and foremost and go with what you're feeling.
And also I think it's really important to remember that, like, especially online, I think a lot of people aren't really trauma informed, and it's a lot like these quotes that aren't really very helpful. Like,
I do think that's an important thing, that like quotes can be, because you said like half your explore feed is filled with quotes right now, because a lot of them really resonate with you and help, but then others you might think, God no,
right back, like ones that would basically kind of make you like question everything about your existence, like they blame you for everything that's gone wrong. So it's really good to be careful.
Yeah, that's not actually something that I had thought about, that quotes could actually really trigger you in some ways, like trigger parts of you that you didn't really want to feel before you saw that.
Yeah, I think it's important to filter what you see online sometimes. Just be careful, and not to take everything that's in an infographic as fact, because it's just an ordinary person who's made that on Canva or something. Like, they don't have
That's so true, actually, that there can be a lot to gain from looking at quotes and stuff to sort of comfort you in a way, but that if you see something and it doesn't apply to you, like, don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. I think especially when it looks so well designed as well, you're more likely to take it as factual, but it's important to remember that it's just another human being with their own opinion, and you can have a different one. So
Yeah, and it's from someone with such a big following and there's thousands and thousands of comments under it. It actually doesn't matter if you don't really like, because sometimes I think you can feel a bit alienated, like, oh my gosh, there's so many people like feeling this way, like I don't feel that way. Like if you're in a better place than say like some sort of traumatic quote is, don't see that as a bad thing. That's a really like positive step in the right direction as well.
Yeah, I think that's where talking to you might be interesting today as well, because we're at completely different stages. Like you mentioned, we both gone through breakups. Your breakup's probably like 3 years ago, is it? And mine's 3 months. So
yeah, so I was actually funny enough, a fella said to me, when was your last relationship? And it was yesterday he asked me. And it was the first I'd really thought about it. And so it's now 2021. May. My breakup was actually 4 years ago now, like literally exactly 4 years ago. And I was thinking, wow, 4 years? Like that's such a long time. And yours was what, 4 months, 3 months?
Yeah, it's about 3 months, I think now. Yeah. Although it feels like the person that I was 3 months ago is a completely different human being to the person I am now, which is so strange. Like I think when you're going through the grief and you're going through a breakup, you kind of get catapulted through growth, whether you want to or not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can either, it's not like it's a choice, like you can either completely crumble or you just have to literally just like battle through growth.
But Colette, can I say, you said you get catapulted through the growth. I think you in particular have really chosen to catapult through the growth in that you have straight away seeked out therapy. You've got support from your friends and family. You've actually really went into this with a real, fighting attitude. Like, hell yeah, I deserve to glow and grow. And do you know what I mean? Like, whereas a lot of people could go into the complete opposite to that and just crumble in their bed and, Netflix and binge on, just really avoiding the emotion. I think you're really tackling it, which is a good approach to take.
Talking about avoiding the emotion, this is something I actually have learned, which is an important lesson, is my therapist always tells me that I am really quick to process things on a head level, but when it actually comes to the emotion, she's like, Colette, you haven't even, like, cause she'll say, like, she'll ask you how you're feeling and I'll just say something that's actually a thought and not a feeling. She'll be like, no, Colette, how are you feeling? Like, so I think when you said like that I chose to kind of go through the growth, I didn't really feel like a choice as such, because I didn't get to have any time off work or anything. So I work 6 days a week. I had to move home. I still got the 2 dogs to like take care of and things like that. And like I'm house hunting.
Yeah, you had like adulting responsibilities, so you couldn't actually just sloth out.
And a lot of the time there was a lot of moments where I was like, I literally just want to just sit in my bed all day.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to, and that has its pros and its cons, because it has really helped me through the growth, and it's meant that I've had to like force myself to like actually get out and go to therapy and like start working on this stuff. But then there's other moments where I'm just like, I am so burnt out, like I need a week off. So it's kind of like, I think it's just important to mention that, because sometimes you can look at someone online and be like, how are they looking like they're so okay? And I'm like, well, I am, but I'm also completely stressed out and burnt out at the same time, because I'm doing like a million different things and it just can get a lot sometimes. And then I think when you do that, sometimes then you have to have like 1 day a week where you just have a big cry and you're like, right, this is my crying session, get it out and go on with things again. So
yeah, I do. I think that's a really important point actually as well, that it does just come down to on an individual basis, and that depending on your lifestyle and everything, that will actually really afford to what you're able to do, like as a person with responsibilities, and then also knowing that giving yourself more time and allowing yourself and knowing that you deserve it to sort of go through those healing times. Because I think one of my favorite quotes is "feel to heal." You really have to let yourself and just have that time to do nothing, just be with yourself and think about how am I actually feeling. And just if you feel like, oh, you're just so burnt out, you just want to sit with like cake and just wallow in the fact that, you're actually having a minute now after doing so many things to just process all this stuff. And you just are like, do you know what? I just need to cry for a whole day and then I'll be able to get on with the world again.
Yeah, I think that's important. And that's why I personally have found therapy so useful, because it's really helped me realize that I can actually be very critical, like let's get on with things, like this was your fault, Colette, like you did this, you did that. And I kind of like think about things on a head level, like this happened for this reason, and here's what we need to do now to overcome this. And it's just about like learning really to slow that down and like think about like how actually do you feel, and like, you know, have no shame, no guilt. Like my therapist is amazing for that, because she just says there is literally no point in being like, here's what I did wrong. Like, and it's good to reflect on things and like know what you don't want to have in future relationships and things like that, and what you don't want to carry forward. But there's no point feeling guilty about it or blaming yourself, because that's like you're just getting stuck in that cycle, and then you're not progressing, and you're just making yourself feel worse.
Yeah, so in a way, it can be a great positive to be very headstrong and mentally able to process things through. But it's really about then connecting the emotion and tapping into, you know, how am I feeling, and sort of getting the two of them connected on a better level.
Yeah, and that's what I'm working on. And also the physical as well. Like, how do you feel in your body? Like when
Yeah,
you're
because
saying,
you can, you know, you can tell yourself all these things mentally, but then you're abusing your body physically at the same time, you know, because you can neglect, you know, your routines. You know, I know you'd sort of, I was reminding you, you know, Colette, get up and get your breakfast. You know, you deserve to have a nourishing breakfast, because those things are things you're thinking, going through all the mental things, but then you're forgetting about those things that are really important for you, which it's all that holistic side of it, really, that you need to take everything into consideration and know that you're worthy and deserving of love. You know, you can tell yourself that, but you actually have to take the action as well.
I think it's the 5 stages of grief as well. Like going through a breakup, for me anyway, I have been through all of the different stages. Like, what are they? They're anger, like how can this have happened? Like,
yeah, severe. Do you remember those voice notes? Like actual, so many voice notes.
You helped me so much, but I think that is what actually helped me through a lot of the stuff at the very beginning. Is I was having relationship issues for a really long time, especially last year with COVID and being at home and together 24/7. That's when it really like escalated.
You never spoke to anyone about that, right? Like you kept that very much to yourself.
And we kept like I kept being like, it was like a breakup and then getting back together, and it was this cycle. And I wouldn't tell anyone, and I chose to tell like a couple people who really, they did plant seeds like of this isn't the way a relationship should be, but there was no, at that point I wasn't done yet. And I've heard this quote that you have to be done with a situation. Like, it doesn't matter what anyone says, like you have to go through it over and over again until you're personally done. I just chose not to really tell anyone, because I wasn't ready to give it up myself. And you know, whenever something's really bad, that if you say this situation is really bad, that people are going to be like, what are you doing? I think sometimes you're not ready to hear that. And so I really like withdrew myself from social media as well last year, because on social media I like literally overshare like so much about my life, and last year I like didn't really share anything because because there was so much going on, and at that point I was still in the relationship, so I didn't want to say anything that was involving another person. And it was a week after my breakup, and I decided to like move out, and I was like, right, this is like over, like this has to be done. And that's whenever I decided, right, I'm just going to put up on social media that we're broke up, because it felt really like that was a final thing for me. It was like, this is going to stop the cycle of me going back into the relationship over and over again. Now I've told 7,000 people that we're broke up, like there's no turning back. I've packed my bags, I've moved home, I've told my family, there's no turning back, because like I spent 3 days clearing out a house. Like, you're not just going to do that and then go back again. So I had to make those choices, and that was really upsetting. And there was a lot of grief. There was a lot of like depressive episodes where, as you said, I wasn't showering, I wasn't eating. Like every time I ate, I was unwell. Like I was like physically, the anxiety, like I was unwell, like nightmares, like just like it was awful.
Like your IBS was like crazy, and you were just like, everything was sort of like on a physical level as well as, you know, emotionally, and that they're all, you know, really feeds into like, oh my goodness, like, and your whole body is drained from that.
Yeah, and I think it was at that point then that I was like, right, I'm gonna just like talk about some of this stuff. And it was only then when I started putting up stuff about all of the like terms that I didn't even really like know. I knew they existed, but like emotional manipulation and things like
Yeah.
that. And it was only when I started like touching on things like that in my Insta stories after the breakup that I had people DM me and be like, your situation's so similar to what I've been through. I literally had like probably 50 different people who were like, I've been through like this exact same thing, like, and really spell out the fact to me that what the situation I was in was emotionally abusive. And I had thought that at some points during the end of 2020, but it was always something that I was like, no, it's not that bad. Like the situation
you always sort of convince yourself that it's not as bad. I think it is like a protective sort of defense mechanism in a way as well, that you are trying to,
you want to see the best in people too.
Yeah, and you're trying to like, you know, really hold on to this relationship that's been a part of you for so long as well. You know, you don't want.
Terrified. I was absolutely terrified of being broken up. Like in my head at that moment, I was so attached to my ex that I was like, I would rather be dead than broken up.
I think, yeah, like you had, if I would have asked you what was your biggest fear in life, you would have told me, Amy, it's being alone. And so I think that was.
And now it's the opposite. I think because I've been like catapulted through all this growth, I'm
yeah,
like,
you've been healing and empowering yourself. It's like, yeah, alone feels freaking amazing.
But I think the thing is my life in that relationship was, for the last year anyway, there was a lot of lows, but when there wasn't lows, it wasn't happiness. It was just like nothing. Like it was like calm. There was like nothing happening. Whereas now that I've had the breakup, like I actually experience, like I still experience lows, even worse lows, because you're going through the grief, but I actually have moments of actual happiness where I'm able to like laugh. You're not constantly like watching over your shoulder or like, oh, are they going to be grumpy? Is this going to like, is something bad?
You don't have someone else to actually think about and sort of have in your energy space like all the time, you know, and just someone that you need to tailor your behavior to, you know, as you're going about your everyday life. Would you say, I'd love to know, that you experience more emotions now? Like, would you say you were more void of an emotion, you know, variety then, and now you get to experience more emotions because like you were very dulled down for a while?
Yeah, I think like I felt a lot of like low moments in the relationship where I was just like, I didn't have my interests anymore. Like I stopped vlogging because they didn't like me vlogging.
Well, I mean, this is what I wanted to ask you. You know, did none of your friends actually say to you? Because obviously, like I told you after, you know, I said, because you had to sort of isolate away. I did say to you after, you know, Colette, I really noticed, like, you just lost yourself. Like, you weren't doing all of your vlogging. Like, I'm sure a lot of your followers noticed.
Yeah, and I think that it's just like I was constantly like worried about someone else before I was worried about myself. And especially like last year we had like the big, like there was a loss in the family, not my family, his family, and that was in the January time. And then for the entire year, basically I was like kind of tiptoeing around like, oh, I'm giving him space to grieve. I don't want to be blogging because I don't want to have a camera around. And it just kind of like, it started from that, but it was always someone else's mental health before myself. And now I realize that, like, yes, in a relationship you're always gonna have to make compromises. There's always going to be things that happen and you work together, but the problem is that my ex didn't want to work together with me. He was,
I know. The thing is, you know, vlogging and, you know, the whole creativity side of things, like I knew from you, you know, this is a massive passion of yours. Like you freaking love this stuff. Like you wanted to make that, you know, your lifelong job at a time, you know, it was something that you loved. So the fact of me saying that you had pulled away from that, you know, for someone else's benefit really actually shattered me. You know, I thought, God, I'm really, really heartbroken for this girl right now. And I didn't even know what was going on, Colette. You know, all I saw was the physical outside manifestation of this girl is not doing the things that she loved to do. She's not showing up online as the person she once was. I was just like, where is Colette gone? You know, I just felt like you'd lost yourself.
Yeah, and I had lost myself
I
in
know.
trying to save someone else from things that they were going through. But now I'm like, it's not your job to save someone else, even if you're in a
Yeah,
relationship. Like you can't lose yourself. And it didn't get me anywhere anyway because it was never appreciated. And I think that's because it wasn't asked for. It
I
wasn't
know.
appreciated because it wasn't asked for. And it was me trying to go out of my way for someone because we were supposed to be getting married,
I know.
which is bizarre to me. I kept thinking that these external things, like we'll buy a house, we'll get married, like we've got the dogs, like all of these things are gonna make us happier, but that's not the way it works. And I just didn't realize. I got really caught up in the like
Yeah, you
trying
like
to.
hold on to the positive glimmers and then it sort of taints away like all the really bad stuff that's going on. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and
But I think,
I was very alone and I was very exhausted because basically I was keeping a relationship alive by myself, and that's a lot of work to do, and that's
yeah,
why you lose yourself if you do that. And it wasn't until I went in social media, and I know that like some people probably would have been like, Colette literally came out of nowhere from I love this person, we're getting married, to this person's abusive, like within, but it wasn't like that. It was like I had been going through this myself for like since
yeah.
like last summer really was when it really escalated,
But
and it was
it's
someone
just
else.
that shame and silence as well that so many, and because now, like so many people have come to you and opened up about it because you shared, like that is
Yeah.
so common. That is so common that people are suffering in silence from these things.
Yeah, and I would never, if people hadn't come to me in my DMs, I would never have seen the seriousness of the situation. And I would have kept in contact, probably would have tried to give the relationship another go. I would have just kept
Yeah,
going round and round in circles. Because when we broke up the first week, it was very much left open of, okay, you're going to go and sort yourself out. I'm going to sort myself out. We're going to get back together in a couple months. And we were on the same page as that. And then it was only when I started talking to people, and the quote that really stuck with me was that abuse and love do not coexist.
yeah,
Okay, like, and that was really difficult for me because the reality that I had been living for, well, for years, but mainly last year, 2020, I was like, that wasn't actually reality. Like, I was being lied to. There were so many things going on that I didn't really process. I feel like I didn't actually know the person I was living with. And that was really hard in the breakup then, because I was like, oh my God, like the person that I was in love with doesn't exist. Like, they don't exist.
yeah. But that's the really hard part about mourning, that you're literally mourning like someone that actually is fictional. You're like mourning
Yeah.
you'd pictured a dream, and that dream is
Yeah.
it's something you concocted in your head. It's not actually that person, it's the dream you miss.
Yeah, yeah. And now I'm just like, I feel like I'm more like my age again and things too, because I really don't think I was acting like a 26-year-old. I was so focused on the let's get married, let's get a house, like
Yeah,
let's
you
do
were
this.
like the 40-year-old mother with children. And well, do you know what I mean? No, like that was the role you'd taken on because you were like mothering a man
Yeah,
and
I felt like
mothering.
looking back, it wasn't an equal relationship. It was like a mum and a teenager,
Yeah.
basically. What it felt like, and that honestly just grosses me out now. I'm like, I'm never ever like, I'd rather be single forever than
It
with
does
someone.
teach you. It does teach you, like all these traumas, like in a sense, they teach you what you're not going to be, taken from anyone in the future. But I think what a point that you mentioned and touched on that really stood out to me, that I think a lot of people will relate to, is that you cannot save someone. And I think so many people stay stuck in toxic and abusive relationships because they want to be someone's hero and they're so hell bent on saving them. But it is not your job to save anyone, and you have to save yourself before you can be anyone's hero.
Yeah, exactly. And I've spoken to some people who've been through the same situation where there wasn't there was like someone with a mental health problem, or the two people had
Yeah.
mental health problems, but there wasn't abuse, but there was the toxic relationship. And they came apart and worked on themselves, and then they came back together. And I think that that's a really important thing to do, that if you're really not working together, to come apart. In my situation, that's what I thought was happening in like the first week
Yeah.
of the breakup. And then I realized that there was a lot of manipulation, there was a lot of lying, there was
That
a
you
lot of
wouldn't actually want to go back to that.
no, because it just, no, like I
No,
can't,
you don't deserve it, and yeah.
yeah, but I really had my eyes opened to the situation. I was like, the person I was living with, the person I was, intimate with, like they're not a real person, because it was manipulation. And that it was really hard. Like gross is the only word I can really think of. Like there's been so many moments where I was like, I am so disgusted by the situation.
I
And I think
know.
the 5 stages of grief, like the anger, like how can someone like this exist? How can they do this to someone that they live with, that they're saying that they want to marry? Like that's the anger. And then there's the depression where you're like, I can't move forward from this, like I am miserable. And I think that's the thing that also I want to get across in this, is that people think that by talking about this it means you're not over the person. I am so over the person. I'm not over the trauma. I haven't learned everything I need to learn from it yet. I haven't processed everything yet. And I think that's I did have a few people come into my DMs and say, just be the bigger person, like just don't talk about it, like just get over it, like live your life. And it's like,
but how is anyone to actually tell you that advice? They do not know what you're going through or what you've been through. Like, you know what is working for you.
Plus, I think these are conversations that need to happen as well. And I didn't like set out with the intention of, oh, I'm going to use my breakup to help other people. Other people actually helped me through my breakup, because all those stories I shared were other people were helping me. And I wouldn't have gotten to this stage without that support, because it was literally like community support of like hundreds of people really helping me process things. I don't know
how beautiful is that as well, that you had hidden away from social media for so long and you came back with such a vulnerable and just story that you've been struggling through alone, and so many people like jumped in to sort of say like,
so many people were like, I noticed the difference in your energy immediately, or oh, I'm so glad to see you back vlogging, or like, yeah, I actually noticed that your relationship wasn't good. Like they picked up on it in vlogs. And I thought that was so interesting, because every time something happened in a vlog, I would actually crop it out. And it wasn't even, but they said that they actually sensed that something had happened, because they could see in my face that from one clip to the next.
I know. Well, now I would be very like tuned into those very minor and minute details that I would be picking up on, stuff like that. And I always noticed like, sort of particular eye contacts and, just things. But you would never really say these things as well to friends, because you're sort of like, as well, you don't want to be stepping on toes and like planting seeds into someone's head that, maybe I could be seeing something that isn't present for you. So it's not fair for me to say.
Yeah, I think that is why you were saying, like, did friends not say anything? And like, yeah, I didn't really tell them what was happening. But also I think a lot of people just assume that it is good, like that there is more positives. But when I look back now, very much I could probably describe our relationship as him being someone who did not like me whatsoever. And like it's quite apparent, you can see from the body language, and it's kind of like, why did you stay then? Like no one forced you to, like
I know.
left at one point. And then there's me, who was constantly like, he must just be unwell, we're going to get through this together, here's how I can help you. And I think a lot of that comes back to the job I do as well, because I'm a support worker. And it's difficult though, because at no point did I really stop and think, how do I feel though? Or if I was going through mental health problems, how would I treat my partner? Or like, I didn't really think things.
You weren't treating yourself like the best friend, like you deserved to be treated. You were basically just putting on the mother role and thinking, how can I best support my partner?
Yeah, and that gets you nowhere, because
that drains you. That actually made you void of the person you were, Colette.
So I quit vlogging and I quit a job, and I just literally like didn't have energy for anything. My physical health got really bad because I have hypothyroid PCOS, and that was just like really bad. Like my skin, like I still got breakouts because I have PCOS, but my skin was horrendous. Like the physical, like physically. And also I thought it was so interesting because I've been obviously reading up things post breakup, and like physically your body will actually tell you when you're not supposed to be with someone, like with your pheromones.
Gosh, this is a real big thing that I went through as well. It was my body signals that they were the final thing that I had added up over the years of all the times that I'd been sick. And it was always my body telling me, you know, the actual, you know, unmanageable anxiety that leads you down into really, really bad straits of health. And you're like, oh my goodness, like your body knows the score. Your body literally, see if you tune into your body and listen and go in that direction of what your body's telling you, it won't lead you astray.
And it's actually, it is wild because I was so sick last year that I was trying everything to try and make myself better. Like I went on medication, I was trying to fix up my diet, I was walking like 90 minutes a day, I was like out like in getting the fresh air. Nothing was helping. As soon as we broke up, yes, I felt a lot of depression and grief and like all them kind of things, but like my health like instantly improved. Like it was really weird. It was like it honestly was like the life was getting sucked out of me. It is wild. It's wild. And I think that's where the work really is starting for me now in therapy, especially, is looking around what made me actually think that relationship was okay, and where was my love for myself? Like, where was my self-love?
Yeah, because we always say that the love you give yourself is the love you will accept from others.
None.
I know. Well, obviously, you know, because that transpired into the relationship that you accepted, because you were just accepting just this, well, child. You weren't getting any love for you. So you didn't love yourself, and that all feeds back into a mechanism. And then it's just like, you know, it's just a recipe for disaster, really.
With a relationship that's abusive as well, there is a lot of like gaslighting and manipulation and things like that, and that really clouds things, because someone is acting like they don't love you, but they're telling you, I can't wait to marry you. I literally, like, it would go from, you know, distant, wasn't allowed to say good morning, wasn't allowed to interrupt during work. He would just disappear like a 5 minutes notice to go and hang out with his friend, and just like, you know, I felt really alone. But then it would be like, can't wait to marry you, can't wait to wear my ring, you're the only one for me, I love you. Like, and it's like your behavior's not matching up with your words, and that is emotional manipulation. And I think a lot of people are very quick to always be like, but they're nice to me, so I couldn't see them doing that. Like, that's just, you know, not in their character. But like I think the statistics are like 1 in 3 people experience domestic abuse in their lifetime, and it's not something that just happens to people in the movies or like really extreme cases. Like emotional manipulation, lying, cheating.
Colette, people don't as well feel comfortable sharing it, and especially because everything's on social media, you know, like a lot of people just are a highlights reel. So the fact that you've come on and been brave enough to actually share and open up about these things is so empowering for a lot of people, and I think can help a lot of people, especially during these times where, you know, things are like, we have been literally locked away, and you know that so many things thrive in secrecy, and that, you know, it's just sort of maybe opening a little doorway to let someone see that, gosh, I'm not the only one going through this right now, and that you actually can come through it. Like, my goodness, look at how much you've bloomed in the past 3 months here. Look, we've got a new Colette.
Like a different person, I honestly do. And like, that was something that was really heartbreaking for me, was I actually went back and watched some of my old YouTube videos, and even like years ago, because when you'd asked me when I first broke up, I would have said it was only actually the past few months of the relationship that were bad. The rest of it was amazing. Like, I was like, I don't know why something changed. When I went back and looked at content, like, because it's weird having your life online, I was like,
I know, right?
That behavior was there from the beginning. Like, it's just, I think because I was 21 when we started dating. Now I'm going to be 27 in August. I was a girl. I didn't know anything about red flags. I didn't know anything about like emotional maturity. I didn't have any like life goals. My goal was like to make YouTube videos and travel and just have fun and go to parties. And I didn't care about any of those other things. It was like very much like, I'm just chill. I'm 21, like whatever. You don't turn up for the date. I don't care. Like, I'll see you later. Like, and now I'm like, if someone didn't turn up for a date, they wouldn't be getting a second chance. Whereas like literally my ex didn't turn up for like 10 dates at the very beginning. And
your standards have leveled up, love.
So looking back, I'm like, that person wouldn't be my type now, because the way they treated me from day one wasn't good. But you know, you're different when you're 21 versus when you're 26, and I think that that's okay to realize that you do grow, and sometimes people grow together, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
And it's okay to let go of someone. I think that was a big thing for me, is stop putting people on pedestals. They're not your soulmate. Like, no, like you can date someone else or you can be alone. Like, if you're not working, you're not working. Doesn't matter how much time you've been together.
I think taking away the permanence from anything in life, Colette, whether it be friendships or relationships, that, you know, people can come into your life for a season, but they always come in for a reason, whether that's a few weeks or months or years. Like, but I do think it is very common to hold on to things and sort of hold on to the hope that things will improve, especially if people have been a part of your life for so long. You know, you cling on to the hope that, gosh, they could get better and I could really help them, and, you know, then we can have this perfect life. But, you know, often you're just tricking yourself into a sense of, you know, despair. And whenever you were talking there, I was really thinking, you know, cosmic Colette, it was like the little cosmic part had, you know, just like broken off slowly but surely. Cosmic is, you know, creeping back into the scene here, and it's like, oh, this is so exciting, you know, to actually, and to be able to be a part of that, to see you, like, you know, come back into yourself after going through such a period of turmoil, really is quite inspiring and uplifting for people to see. So that's why, like, I really wanted to bring you on today in particular to talk about this topic, to, you know, sort of shed a bit of light on the matter, and that, you know, your struggles really do craft your strength, and that what you go through, you grow through, and that it really can be used for good if you, as I say, you have chosen it to make you go down that way. I sort of did want to end on sort of maybe a little challenge for other people to get involved in, whether they have gone through a breakup or, you know, whether not, like, that's something that everyone could get involved for themselves, a bit more love maybe.
Something I would like to tell people to do, that's something that I've actually been trying to do in therapy, was trying not to see things as so good and bad, black and white, and actually it's okay to be like, I actually gained some things that were good from that relationship, like, and actually look at like why you stayed and what was there. And for me personally, that was like peace and like calm, and like being with someone who never commented negatively on my appearance. Like, I was always free to just like be myself. I
think it was the company, like, as well, in a way, like it was just the not being alone.
Yeah, as well as that, just free to like feel like I could actually just, well, I say do my own thing. It didn't feel like that whenever I quit blogging and everything, but like I think it's important, like, to the challenge or activity that other people could do is really to like know that, kind of like reflect on things and just try not to be like, my ex was the terrible human being, like, kind of to take that power away and just think of, what can I actually learn from this? Like, what was my part? Why did I think that relationship was okay? And kind of look at like what you actually want to change with you, because the growth doesn't come from constantly being like, here's what they did and this is why I feel this way because they did this, and all the gaslighting. That's important to know that, but that is where you're getting stuck on your head level and you're not actually moving forward. You could get stuck in blaming someone forever and ever, whereas it's important to actually think about, now, how do I feel? What do I want from my future? And that is where the challenge is, because that is where especially if you're critical, like if you've got a strong inner critic, it's really difficult to look at yourself. I really felt that was difficult, like looking at like the fact that I had stopped showing myself self-love it is difficult for me to think about that. I'm like, oh, how, like, I prided myself on being like this confident, empowered person, and there I was literally putting someone else before me every single day until I was sick physically and mentally.
I know.
It's uncomfortable lessons.
Yeah, and I think that is a real important point to touch on as well, that, you know, you can actually look back and be, as well as disgusted with them and turned and your skin crawls, but actually be disgusted at yourself and how, you know, in such of a bad state you really let you get to, but that at the same time, you know, it is a waste of time going through, like, just thinking about that, because, you know, it's much more fruitful use of time to actually go through, right, okay, this happened, but how can I show myself love today? That's what I sort of thought, like, it was a good place to start, create a wee template 3 ways I can show myself love today, because that's a really easy place to start, you know.
Think about the past over and over and over again. Like, you're a different person now. You have to just focus on the present moment.
Yeah, focus on you now and the actual glowing goddess that you're turning into, and tap into that. And, you know, that's what you're accelerating towards.
I think also very important note to leave it on as well is that other people will always have an opinion, whether that's positive or negative, but they didn't live your experience and they don't know you. And that was a really hard thing for me, because obviously when you break up with someone, you're breaking up with their entire family, people that you might have had a really strong relationship with, and then you realize that they paint you as a bad person, but that's their opinion and that's what they believe, and you know, you have to let go of that. You really do. Like, you can't internalize that. Like, people are allowed to have their own opinions about you, based on the information that they have, but it's none of your business. It's their business, you know.
Yeah, I think all that matters is, you know, what you went through and how you feel, and it's up to you what you share and how you actually deal with that. And
also I saw something that said, it actually annoyed me. It's one of these infographic things. It was like, over explaining yourself makes people think that you're lying, and it's like, but over explaining yourself and oversharing is a trauma response. Like, that's just what happened. And for me, that is what I did. I literally was like, here's what happened.
You thought, you were saying to me, Amy, I have just, and you bounced from like one extreme to the other then, so you were like oversharing, and then you were like petrified to share, but it was like, it was just dealing with all that. And
yeah, at the very, very beginning, I, like in the first month and a half, maybe, I had a very strong need to be believed, because I was only seeing the reality myself, and I was trying to come to terms with it and believe it myself. And I was like, I need other people to believe me and validate me, because I don't even believe myself sometimes.
I know.
And now I'm more like, a lot of people have shown me compassion and they've believed me, and I don't need to convince everyone. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, what matters now is me. And I think as I'm growing in my own self-belief and my own validation of my experiences, I don't care if there's people who don't believe me. Like,
it doesn't actually matter. Like, it's absolutely no one else's business what you've been through anyway, and you don't actually owe anybody an apology or any sort of explanation. It is literally your life, and you have the power to do whatever the hell you want with it. Like,
exactly.
I think that's a nice way to leave it then. Do you want to tell everyone where they can find Cosmic Colette now that she has actually rebirthed onto this earth again?
I just hit 8,000 subscribers on YouTube yesterday.
Oh, so my goodness! Celebrate good times. Come on.
Like, I am going to grow my YouTube channel. I'm going to do all the things that I ever wanted to do. So.
Hell yes, you are, girl!
Yeah, but yeah, I'm just Cosmic Colette everywhere on Instagram and YouTube. I have a TikTok, but honestly, I put no effort into it. It's kind of embarrassing, so...
I think you probably go to your TikTok for the most quality content.
I love TikTok. I find it so much fun.
No, you are, would you say YouTube would be your strongest platform?
No.
Your favorite?
Instagram's my favorite, because that's where I have them. I'm constantly in my DMs, constantly talking to people and learning different things and helping other people. They're helping me, and it's just a really amazing community. Like,
I spend most of my time in Instagram DMs helping others, rather than anything else. I think it's nice though to be like that.
Yeah, I honestly, like, as I've said a couple times, like, I would not have gotten through the early stages of my breakup, like, as quickly, like, without the support of people on Instagram. And I don't think there's any shame in that. Like, I think when you've been, like, keeping things in for such a long time, like, tell the world. If you want to tell the world, tell the world. And I don't care if other people then are like, that girl needs to get over her ex, or I hate the word unhinged that I hear people say. She's unhinged.
Yeah. She's mentally unstable. She's lost the plot because she's finally actually had the bravery to speak up whenever she's been silent for years. Like,
they don't blame the person who made you that way. They just blame you.
That's the thing with being online as well, that it can have it. I think we've clearly shown that it can have its pros and cons.
Yeah,
in many ways.
Massive disservice if I just decided to just be like, oh, we broke up, and then just never said anything. Like, I would just probably still not have got back on YouTube. I wouldn't have done anything. Like, I think it was really important for me because it was such a big turning point.
Yeah. Well, guess who's back? Cosmic Colette is back. She is in the building and she's not going anywhere. I'm going to make sure of it now. You're under my little wing here and I'll not be letting you go astray. And we are living our best lives, traveling the world and just getting our goals, girl.
Definitely.
Not letting no man hold us back, eh?
I know, because literally, what's the point? You only get one life.
You only get freaking one.
I know.
No time for these men holding us back. Maybe one will come along, who knows? Whenever we love ourselves to our fullest capacity, that is when I think really it paves the way for someone to join and add to your life rather than be stripping so much from it. But
there's no rush.
No. There's absolutely no rush, Flippy. We've been locked up here for far too long. We need time to have fun. And girls, they want to have fun.
I think that's like, whenever you rush and you have the like scarcity mindset of like, oh, I'm never going to find someone else. I'm scared of being alone. Like, blah,
so
blah,
many
blah.
people do bounce out of a relationship and bounce into another one because they don't want to be alone or they're scared.
You accept love that isn't what you deserve when you do that. You know,
and you're constantly in a cycle of, oh my goodness, why am I attracting all these D-heads? And
go on Tinder because in the first conversation with most people, I see their red flags immediately. I am so like, I was watching a movie the other day. I know we keep talking, but just end it on this. I was watching a movie and I was like, that actor is really not a very good actor because he is smiling and like he's saying a sad story and he's smiling. And later on in the movie, it turned out he was actually a really good actor because he was playing a psychopath. And I was like,
oh, wow.
Why is he not? He doesn't, in his eyes, he didn't look upset. He looked happy, but he was trying to pretend cry. And I was like, I know that behavior because that was my ex.
Wow, that is actually so fascinating that, you know, you picked up on that, like, before you'd even realized that was what he was meant. Like, but that's actually a really good quality that you're picking up on.
He's not a good actor. I was like, he's not showing emotion. And then it was like, no, he's a great actor.
But how much does that show you that you've learned through like actual things that you've been through that you're now spotting like psychopathic characteristics?
I know, it's a blessing and a curse though.
Yeah, I think in many ways, because I learned a lot about it in my degree and everything as well, that whenever I go traveling, like I'm always looking around me like, here, where's the serial killers coming up, mate?
Oh my god.
You have to keep your guard up as a girl in this world.
A lot of people have rose-tinted glasses until something happens to them themselves, but there's a lot, like it's a lot more common than you would think.
Yeah. And you've found that through sharing, obviously, as well.
I have a big platform, and the amount of people that came into my DMs and was like, I was in an abusive relationship, like, and relationships with narcissists and things like that. And it's like, I don't have a big following. I didn't gain a following from this. So it's not people coming to me for breakup content. No. It's people already following me. If anything,
people come for the cosmic Colette, like they never came for the relationship and abuse and flipping stripping of the cosmic title from you. No, people are absolutely glad and like, you know, overjoyed, I'm sure, that the girl's back in town.
I know, exactly. The whole video is so long.
I know. Well, do you know what? I think it was a really, really good chat anyway. And that a lot of people will have a lot to gain from it, you know, just from being so honest. And I do think these conversations are very important to have. And thank you so much for your time. I'm very, very grateful for it.
I know, it's been lovely. I think it's nice. It's been a good energy boost.
Yeah, just to have like a little like girls chat. Sure, we haven't chatted to each other in far too long here anyway. So it's been nice for us. And I do think like helpful for a lot of people anyway.
Yeah, I'll send everyone over to watch it.
Yay! Yeah, I'm sure everyone will be flooding in thinking, oh goodness, I need to find more of the gossip.
I know. Well, I think it's been an interesting conversation. So
it has been. See, as long as we've enjoyed it, sure, what does it matter anyway?
Exactly. No, we'll do it again. If you have another topic you want to talk about sometime, definitely. I mean, we have so much in common, so.
Yeah, I think these girly chats are nice as well, you know, to have in the middle of like the real short and punchy ones. Like, it's nice to just have a flitting, like, if someone can sit down with a cup of tea and a cookie and just listen to two girls going on about their past and get some help to heal through things themselves too.
Definitely.
We'll let you get back to the joys of work, darling, and I will chat to you very soon. Yes,
talk soon. Okay, thanks for having me.
Remember, don't stop glowing now. Sure you won't.
I know, I won't.
No time. Bye.
Bye.
And you don't need to be a stranger. Can we be friends? Come join me on Instagram at Surviving Now Thriving. There is a little challenge there I've saved in my templates for you all to get involved in to show yourself a bit more love, because damn do you deserve it. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos. It is free after all. See you soon. Lots of love.